Gillian, how do we weigh in then on career growth? What do you think you can advise a younger you about some of the decisions that you made early on regarding career growth? Maybe some of the courses that you took back in college, or maybe the choices of schools, not schools, but rather subjects that you took in high school. What would you tell your younger self at that time?
That's pretty interesting. It's a question I've been asking myself repeatedly. What would I do different, and how would I advise myself these many years? One of the things I'd be is not to be afraid. I think I've been very timid in some of the moves I've pulled, either career-wise, especially. So not to be afraid, or even if I'm afraid, to do it afraid. Just proceed and do it afraid, even if I'm afraid. When in my younger years, like trying to weigh, should I go abroad to study? Should I hold on to this job that I have? Should I move to another role, even if it's paying less? Should I move to another department, even if I don't quite know everything about, I'm not a specialist in that area of career? I think I would do it afraid. The other thing I'd do is try and kill that imposter syndrome. I feel like sometimes I check into places second guessing myself, and then I'm saying words, and then at night I go back into the house and I'm thinking, oh my God, why did I say that? Why didn't, like, when you're at very serious corporate meetings, it's like I swallow my words at that meeting, and then when I go home, I have the way that conversation should have gone in my mind, it's replaying, and now is when I'm so confident about some of the words I could have used. So just to kill that imposter syndrome, because I am enough. I am qualified and I am enough. And what I don't know, I can leverage better. The other thing is to take advantage of my networks. If I would do it over, one of the things I do is take advantage of my networks. I'm privileged to know and have interacted in the course of my life with a whole lot of people who are so knowledgeable and in such diverse places, and I haven't leveraged their resources or whatever it is that we could do together. So that's another thing that I'd do with my younger self. The other thing is to be careful that I don't waste my youth. One of the things I realized about myself is that I can be lazy. So I'd be careful not to waste my youth, because I'm waiting for saviors, somebody to come and save me out of situations. The thing I was talking about, raising my hand and not waiting to be picked. Or even when I feel that I know, I'm like, why can't they see that I know? Those are some of the things I'd do with my younger self. Yeah.
There are things that you have learned along the way, and those are actually soft skills. Knowing how to be patient, knowing how to, how to follow your gut instinct, listen to it, speak up to it, and it's still the right time to do it. Mary, I wonder too, for you, what would you have done different, or what have you learned now from that one session that has now put you on a path that you feel I'm heading the right way, I'm actually going to where I want to go? And then what would you tell your younger self?
Okay, one thing I've learned so far from the session is when it comes to executive presence, it's not a trait, it's a skill. It's something you acquire on the way. Yeah. So I'll be more patient with myself, as Martin and Gillian already mentioned. Patience is key. I'll be more patient. I'll be more outgoing at my workplace, from the word go, so that my supervisor, or rather my boss, could trust me more, and by being trusted, I'll be able to go up the ladder very quickly, as opposed to just limiting myself to what my JD dictates. Yeah, and I'll be more observant also, so that I can learn from the environment, so that I can understand my work environment and the people I work with, my colleagues, because at the end of the day, everyone is different. There's a way you like doing things, but that's you. Others would prefer doing it differently. So how about you understand them from that point, and try to accommodate them, so that you're able to work as a team, as opposed to criticizing them all the time, or rather wanting them to always do things your way and not any other way. So yeah. That's all.
Thank you for that. One thing that is emerging from all these discussions is actually that the soft skills are very, very important. I mean, we can do all the things right. We can go all scientific on things, but if you lack on the soft skills that need to be nurtured, possibly sometimes earlier, but it's still not too late to catch up on the soft skills. This, I believe that this is where the three advicees are having a common ground on the patients and the just knowing how to deal with situations differently, understanding other people, as Mary is saying, and knowing how to, react or respond to different people that you work with. That's very, very, very important. Martin, please share one memorable tip. I know you've told us so much. You've told us, the interest, the, best alternative to a negotiated agreement, the, knowing your position, knowing what you want to meet, the mutual of it. But what is one memorable tip that you have? Just one about what you've learned during the art of negotiation.
I think during the thanks Diana. Sorry. During the sessions, one of the key things that I've learned is to identify the interests, because the interests are very, very extremely different. If you're trying to get into a negotiation, some people might go. Okay, not everyone, but some people who might try to sell you something have extremely selfish or personal interests that might be very different from yours. So it's best to identify what the interests are and make them very clear before you get into an agreement. Let's say, for example, if you're buying property. So getting to know that is quite key, because some people might tell you something that is either contested in court or either has family conflicts or things like this. So when you're getting into an agreement, it's best to identify, or some people might, and also there are very different layers of interest. So when you're negotiating, it's good to know if you're dealing with an agent or dealing with a developer or dealing with an owner. So getting to know all these layers of different people that you have to deal with and what their interests are is quite key before you actually get into an agreement or when you are negotiating.
Okay, thank you for that. And that's actually quotable. I mean, when I'm saying people should be tweeting about this and the hashtag is #MyProsperClinic, it is very important to know what the interests are and know how different those interests are. I like the fact that you're saying, when you take your time to actually get a great deal during a negotiation, some other facts may emerge, some other information may emerge. So that's why it's not good to rush to things. And sorry, Martin, did you want to add something else to that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because from my personal experience, so one of the key things that I unearthed during the negotiation process, which the sessions were quite helpful, was first of all, I was dealing with a very new developer in the market who was trying to access finance. So some of the key things that I had to find out from that my advisor advised was to go ahead and check financing, where the developer is actually accessing finance. Do they have enough? Have they been able to sell enough or get commitments from many buyers for them to acquire that finance, so that I don't get into a situation whereby I commit and then the developer is not able the houses that they had promised. So that patience and taking time to consult different people who have had the knowledge. Let's say, for example, the bank, asking the agent where the developer is trying to access finance. Have they done similar projects before? Have they been finished? Do they have a good track record? So some of those things were quite helpful during the sessions. And one of the key things that I did learn also, which brings me back to interest, is because the agent had the interest of just trying to get us into the sales agreement, but not beyond the sales agreement, the agent will not be involved. So that was very risky for me. It was a risk to get into the agreement. So some of those things bring me back again to interest. So different levels of interest of different people.
Oh, thank you so much for that, Martin. So, Gillian, I'm going to ask you the exact same question. What is that one memorable tip that you can share? And please Just remember that people are taking notes and we are tweeting about this. Please share with us that memorable tip that you took from the session.
There were quite a number of memorable tips I took from the session. In terms of negotiation, it's the one Martin has talked about, partner. That was quite interesting for me because I deal with a lot of suppliers, and sometimes it's very important to know what the interests are so that I am accurate, for instance, in my quotations. Exactly. Then the other thing was, remember, I keep insisting on knowing my role and responsibilities and what the gaps are so that I'm able to counter my blind spots. That was actually the core one that I learned, to counter my blind spots. And they're the ones I mentioned earlier, a few sentences ago in the previous session.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's always important to know what your blind spots are and maybe build that extra muscle that you may not have. You know, it could be the same thing that the guests are saying. It could be the patience muscle that is wanting. It could be any other muscle that needs to be developed. But knowing what your blind spot is definitely a memorable and shareable tip in this session that you had. Mary, same question.
Okay.
What's that shareable tip that you have for our listeners and our viewers tuning in? What do you think was your takeaway home from the session that you had?
Okay, I'll just put it in one sentence. Yeah, executive presence is a skill and not a trait. So it's something you learn along the way. It's not something you're born with. Same as leadership, you're not born as a leader. You somehow acquire those skills on the way. So be patient with yourself. You should be more self-aware. You know your weaknesses, know your strengths. Get to know the teammates that you're working with. Understand their weaknesses and their strengths also, so that you're able to know how to handle each one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, that sentence was long but very lovely. Knowing what to leverage on from your team members is very, very important. And in this career growth, you can't do it alone. You have to work in a team, and you have to know how to make other people feel important, feel appreciated, feel valued, and in the same process they will do the same to you. So again, it comes back to the soft skills that we keep talking about. I just want to invite the viewers or the listeners that are with us on the Zoom call. Please feel free to leave a comment on the chat box if you have questions for our guests today. Before we go to this free, I want to give them a moment to just freely share anything else that I may not have asked. I'll give them each, a minute and a half or 2 minutes each to talk about it. And then we will go to the parting shots and answer any questions that may be on the chat box. So guys, feel free to type in the chat box. I'll be reading your questions to them as we continue with the session. So then, Gillian, this is like a freestyle moment. Please, anything I haven't asked but you feel like it's critical in this MyProsper Clinic, the people that are tuning in are people who I need to get some sense of direction to make critical decisions, whether in their personal lives or their career, and they would love to hear from, let them get as much as they can from this session. So it's a freestyle moment. Please kindly have a minute or two to just discuss something that you think I haven't asked but could be critical and something important that you learned during the session.
Diana, thank you. I think you've led the session very well. You've guided us through the questions in an excellent way. Thank you so much for that. I wouldn't, off the top of my mind, I currently can't think of anything you haven't asked us. But just to re-emphasize on the question you asked me about one of the key things that I learned at Prosper, I think, because Prosper is a journey. So, and the good thing is that it has so many advisors in any sphere of life that you can think of. You can think of personal development, executive presence. I mean, so many. So for me, who was chasing after career growth, the thing I learned was about leveraging my strengths and for my career. But it also flows into other areas of my life when I leverage those strengths. And then understanding those blind spots was so that I become the healthiest version of myself. And I thought that was very, very important in my Prosper journey.
Yes, Gillian. Awesome. Thank you so much, Gillian. Much appreciated, and thanks for your compliment. Martin, the same thing. I haven't asked a question. Maybe you feel like there's something else you could add. I know you've shared so much. Please do take a minute or two to just tell the viewers again something else as we receive their questions in the chat.
Yeah, thanks so much. So one of the key things that maybe I could add is I kind of feel we've already captured it already in this session on the importance of standing on the shoulder of giants. I felt connected to that a lot because there's always something you can be able to get from someone who has had the experience, someone who has had the knowledge, and maybe interacted with a similar thing that you're trying to do. So it always pays off to consult people who have gone through a similar experience before, and they were able to overcome the experience successfully, and they have something unique that they could be able to share with you to be able to make informed decisions. So I'll just go back to the statement again on the importance that it's important to stand on the shoulder of giants, and I think Prosper has quite a lot of what I would claim as giants who could be able to provide important insights to get you through something that you either career-wise, either personal, or either investment-wise, that can get you to the level, the next level that you are looking for. So, yeah, I think it's just to say that again, it's quite important to stand on the shoulder of giants.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Martin, for that reminder. Yes, definitely standing on the shoulders of giants is something that all of us can do, and we can all do this by just booking a session. It's 3,000 shillings a session. It's actually a discounted package for now. It's usually 5,000 shillings a session on MyProsper.app, and you can get to stand on the shoulder of giants. So thank you guys for reminding us that. Mary, something that I haven't asked you, something that you'd like to share with our viewers, please take the floor. Thank you.
For me, it's just to encourage everyone who's managed to attend this session, to just go to MyProsper.app and explore all the topics you have there. We've only talked about 3. Personally, I've had 2 more sessions aside from executive presence, and I would say I'm a different person as of now compared to who I was before the session. So sometimes you just need help to tap into your potential. You have the potential, but you don't know how to bring it out. So with the help of the experienced advisors on the app, you'll be surprised, who you really are. So please just go to the app and look around for a topic that would suit your needs, and please sign up. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Mary. You wrapped it quite well. We do not have any questions on our chat box. I do know that most of the viewers are probably tuning in through Facebook. I don't have access to that now. And I would just like to give you guys a chance to give us some parting words. I know you feel like you've given us your parting shots. We do have another 8 minutes. I'm really stretching you guys the best that I can. I know personally as Diana, I'm definitely going to come onto the platform. I'm already an advisor on the platform, but I'm actually learning that there's some things I could learn. There's some muscles I could develop. There's some things I have just mentioned in this session, but I feel like, wow, I need to be the person standing on the shoulder of that giant. So I will take it through Gillian, Martin, and Mary in that session, and then we will say thank you so much for tuning in with us today. Thank you so much. I'm sure this session will be live on our Facebook platform for a very long time, and you'll be able to have gotten the knowledge that these 3 advices got by paying for that session. So thank you guys. Gillian again, and then we go to Martin and Mary.
For career development, it was important for me to think through that letter from the top of the mountain, the one I mentioned. And I would advise anybody who is currently mid-career to think through their career and where they are right now and what they could do differently to propel them into the next chapter of their lives. I think that it's always important taking stock. They say hindsight is 20/20. I think taking stock is really, really important because the world is so fast moving and things just fly by. And if you don't take a moment to reflect, then you find some very valuable lessons missed. Of course, the advantage is that you can always lean on prosper.app to remind yourself, but I think that it is important to be reflective about your life. I think I've just ebbed through mine, so this time that we've been at home has been a very good time for me to think through who I am. And because I did the career development coaching, it touched for me a few things like Mary was talking about, and also Martin has mentioned. Because of doing the career, you also start to see how that impacts, for example, on your personal branding, for example, on your executive presence, etc. So yes, that's what I would say.
Yeah, you're very right about that. And another thing that is actually important to note as you're wrapping it up is actually that this is a continuous process. It never ends. It actually never ends. And that taking stock of yourself and your life and analyzing your situation, your position, your decisions as they continue to evolve is actually very important. Martin, what are your parting shots?
Thanks, Diana, again. So my parting shot is don't just do good, you can do better and prosper, and you can prosper with Prosper.
That sounds like a hashtag or a tweetable tweet right there. Thank you so much, Martin. I know you've given us so much wealth of information, so many good assets and good values that you learned through your session. Mary, please give us a parting shot.
I guess I was the next one. Hi, Diana. My parting shot. I'll just say life is a learning process, and you're more than what you think you are. Sometimes you just need help from other people to know who you are really, and just to know what you're capable of doing other than what you usually do ordinarily. So let's give career help experience on MyProsper.app, and as Martin said, let's prosper together. Thank you.
So thank you so much. The three of you have been such an amazing set of, group of guests in this session. We have learned so much. Thank you for coming to the session with a very open heart to share your knowledge, to share the skills that you have learned. And thank you for even reminding us about the things that we forgot. For example, the resource in our networks, as one of you had mentioned earlier, that social capital, that leveraging on your networks. Thanks for reminding us about the patience. Thanks for reminding us about the interest and knowing your position, knowing your power, learning about the weaknesses from, someone you're negotiating with, and then the value of actually having a mutual beneficial agreement. Thank you so much for reminding us about partnerships or teamwork. Thanks for reminding us about leveraging with your teams. And, when you build them up, they build you up too. So thank you, guys. Thank you so much. We call it a day.
Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you, Diana.
Thank you, Diana, and thank you to the rest of the panelists, Martin and Gillian. Thank you to the audience.
Thank you very much.
Have a lovely evening from me.
Bye-bye.
Have a lovely evening, all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.